Starting. Hi everyone, I am super excited today to be here with Dee. I kind of read about her story and I thought, oh my goodness, the world needs to listen to her story. You know, there's so many things that we can talk about here today, but I am really excited to hear from you, Dee, all about it. Hello, how are you?
Oh, Angelica, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me here because, yeah, I mean, like yourself, I mean, you've got a fabulous story to get out there to the world to help people. And I've got a slight story as well. So, yeah, it's good to get it out there and for people to hear and to hopefully inspire them to become the best version of themselves that they can.
Awesome, definitely. I'm sure you inspire many. So start by telling us, when did it all started, how did everything come about?
Yeah, goodness. Well, 10 years ago, I started getting backache and then my legs started hurting. And it took about 2 years and then I was in a wheelchair. I had my own business at the time and that ran down and I just worked less hours and less hours and less hours and lost the business because there was no money coming in. And the day I stopped working was the day before I went into a wheelchair because I couldn't cope with it any longer. The pain was immense and it just took such a toll on my life that I worked many, many hours. I worked maybe 12, 13 hours a day. And then I cut it down and cut it down and cut it down over a 2-year period until I was only working 2 hours a week. So it just took over my whole life and I wouldn't take painkillers because I was driving. I was a driving instructor. So painkillers and that did not go together. So I was in tremendous pain and wouldn't take anything because I was teaching people to drive, which really my mindset wasn't in the right place. I was just trying to get my last pupils to get their test passed. So time went on. The year later, I then got a diagnosis of functional neurological disorder, which is...
So just to interrupt you, so in that whole 10 years, they had never given you a diagnosis. You just got worse and worse every year.
I got the diagnosis in year 3.
Okay.
So therefore, they did think it was multiple sclerosis, and they also reckoned that there was a bit of Parkinson's disease in there as well, because that's how it can manifest in you. And anyone that's seen me, they just automatically thought I had MS because of the way my body acted. And then if they seen me go into my spasms, they would then think I also had Parkinson's. So luckily you don't have any of those diseases because it's a disorder. But then what happened is I got scared. Sorry.
You were very young then, right? Like for you, did you have any kind of like in the family or anything like that as well? Or
no, the families are fine. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. I was 35 at the time, and it was just getting worse and worse. You know, and at 35 you should be out enjoying your life and really moving about and dancing and everything else. And my body was acting as though it was in its 90s and its 100s, you know. Wow. And there was so much pain that a lot of the time throughout the illness, it actually had me in a comatose position. You know, I couldn't move, I couldn't talk. I was in and out of consciousness through sleep all the time. I couldn't sleep because I was in so much pain. And then my body would be exhausted, that it would put me into sleep. And as soon as then the pain, my body had rested a short while, the pain would wake me up. But there was no function going on in the brain very much. You know, I couldn't speak. It was all mumbling for a lot of the time. And then I would have some lucid moments where I could get myself together. And most of the time when I did go out in the wheelchair was to go to doctor's appointments. That was my outings for almost 10 years. And it was exhausting. I would do that and it would exhaust me for 3-4 weeks, you know, and then I'd have another appointment and another appointment, and it was hard just to be able to function, to go to appointments.
And so the only treatment after the diagnosis was for the MS and for the Parkinson was painkillers, or did they want you to go on any particular medication, especially for the Parkinson?
Well, it wasn't actually, I didn't have the diseases of them, but that's how it manifested in my body.
Okay.
So it was purely painkillers in which I was given. And I was also given physical therapy. I was given homeopathic therapies as well. So therefore I would go and get, it went from my head for a moment, where you get the needles, acupuncture. I did receive acupuncture, and I did receive art therapy also, which was absolutely amazing. Because the only thing I could really do in amongst the illness when I had lucid moments over the 10 years was to do some arts and crafts, which that kept my mind busy when it could be, so I had something in my life, which was great, but that was the only thing that I really had in my life. So it wasn't much. So when I got to do the art therapy, I loved it. And that really took me on a journey of discovering different things in my life. So that played a big part in being a bit more positive, which was great. So,
and this was
sorry.
Did your doctors refer you to an acupuncturist, or to all of this, to the art therapy? Or because I know that in some countries, acupuncture is not seen as conventional, really recognized. I mean, the research around there, but and some doctors might not even prescribe it because they're not used to doing it. Like, how did that come about?
That was my neurologist who had, she had decided, because I was having so much difficulty trying to walk, and even though I had physical therapists, when I was in hospital for 5 weeks, I would get intense physio where they would see me every single day and try and help me to walk again. And it was really, really tough, and some days you would, depending on the amount of pain, you could maybe take a step or two, and other days there was absolutely nothing going on at all. So the neurologist, she was absolutely phenomenal with me, and so caring, and such a lovely heart she has to try and help people all the time, that she said, okay, we can get you referred over to homeopathic unit. And I was like, that would be fantastic, because I was so willing to try anything.
Anything, I bet.
Oh goodness, anything at all. I would have, if they told me to, I don't know, the most extreme thing in the world, that I was to fly to the moon, I would go, I would have went. But there was no answers other than pain medication. I had a good run at the homeopathy. I had a good run with the acupuncture. It did give me an ease of pain when I was there. So I found that very worthwhile to get it.
Yeah.
Although there was no lasting effects from it for me. I'm not saying that that's the same for everyone, because I know that acupuncture does work for people. But for the pain I was in, it gave me that relief, and that was immense. That I could lie there for half an hour and have a release of pain. So it was so worth it for that period of time. And the art therapy helped with the mental side of things, which was really good, because as you know, when you're ill and you're in chronic illness, it's quite depressing. It can really get you down. Your mind is definitely not as positive as what it is, because if you're in continual pain, it does chip away at that positivity, and it chips away and chips away and chips away, so that therefore you do become quite depressed, and it's not a happy place to be, obviously, which is one of the biggest mental health issues that we have in the world, is depression. So most people will understand that when they get that low way with depression, it's really difficult to climb out of it. And it doesn't matter how many people are trying to help you to get out of it. It can only be done from within yourself.
Yeah.
And people asking you, are you okay, is not the thing to ask someone who has depression. Because you're not okay and you don't feel okay, but you don't actually know what the underlying problem is. You just
Yeah.
know that you don't feel good.
And it sounds like as well, like, I always say that, during my treatment, the mental battle was definitely the hardest. Like I said, the mind, plays really some hard games with you, and you need to be on top of it. Otherwise, it's very easy to get into a depression. And I think, for me, I had never been a depressed person, so I kept on top of it, like with the diet and exercise and just listening to positive things, because otherwise it was very easy to just go downhill. But I think with somebody like yourself, and I think many people nowadays are living like that, it's like living in torture because you're in pain, right? So this is like 24/7, you're having no relief of this constant pressure. So like, is this crazy?
Absolutely. There was no release. As I said, when I got the acupuncture, that was the release that I could only get. So once every 2 weeks, I would get half an hour relief of pain. And I would get woke up with pain. I would go to sleep because I had too much pain. So it was continual, 24/7. And like yourself, I was never a depressed person before I was ill. I went through illness the first time when I was in my 20s for about 6 years. It lasted that time. It was the exact same thing, but it was undiagnosed. And then it came back. But I think I went into a sort of remission over the years. So I had it from the age of 22 to the age of, what age was I last year? 47. So that's how long it lasted throughout my body. But I did have life in between the two bouts of it, and the second bout was 10 years.
Yeah.
And it came to January 2018, and I was giving 4 different big health issues, because with the amount of medication I was on 60 different medications a day.
Wow.
Where 3 different ones of them were opioids, and at one point it was definitely just morphine I was on, with everything else. So the brain just didn't get a chance to function no matter what, because there was so many pills that my cognition was incoherent to myself, never mind to anyone else. So it was quite a difficult experience, and a lot of the time there is a lack of memory from it, because I did suffer from brain fog for such a long time. And that's a horrible thing. And if anyone's not had brain fog but has had a pregnancy, you can relate to it with the baby brain syndrome that we get when we're pregnant, and we forget everything else that's going on, and because your subconscious is so concerned with growing this baby inside you and keeping yourself healthy and fit for this baby to grow. So my brain was preoccupied with pain, and that's what it concentrated on all the time. So therefore it was almost guaranteed that I would have went into depression. When I look back at my life as to where I was, yeah, I was definitely heading down the depression route. And I always said I am not the type of person to get depressed, because I'm not. I still am not. But I did go there because the pain just dragged me down. But other people who deal with the depression, it's not the pain that drags them down. It can be the negative thoughts that drag them down. And that wasn't where my issue lay, thank goodness, because positivity was one of the things that got me to where I am today. And I like to teach that now. I like to teach the mindset and go on with that with people. Therefore, I'll backtrack a wee bit, sorry, Angelica. In January 2018, like I was saying, there was 4 big health scares because of the amount of pills and everything else that I had so many other physical problems with my body. I had went over 19 stone. I had also, and I wasn't eating. So it was mainly lack of movement because my body couldn't move with pain and my legs had stopped working, hence I was in the wheelchair. And there was lots and lots of medication over the years.
The steroids.
Yeah, steroids as well. Yeah, I mean, so I was so bloated that my body couldn't move because of its weight, because of its bloatedness. My feet, everything was so swollen that it hurt just because it was swollen as well. Never mind the internal pain that was going through. And in that fateful January of 2018, I had been in and out of hospital because I was getting pains in my heart. So I was on ECG machines all the time, getting tested because of the heart pains. And I was diabetic because of the weight and the immobility. And I had got, yeah, I had got to dangerous levels of glucose. 41 is where they would normally say you're diabetic and they need to keep an eye on your glucose levels. My levels went up to 113, where they had to give me insulin. But I rejected it. I was like, I'm not going on insulin. I'm not doing it. I just had this thing, I'm not going on insulin, because if I knew I was going on insulin, I don't think I would have come off it. Yeah. And that was in my mind. I thought, I'm not going on insulin. I will get off these pills. I had then cut my pills down quite dramatically to almost half because I was worried. They had told me also in that January that my organs were going to fail if I had any more pills. So I thought, we need to cut these pills down because I don't want to have that. I've heard it's really, really painful. I don't know how much more pain my body could actually sustain, because it wasn't really sustaining it anyway, because it would put me to sleep with the pain and then wake me back up with the pain. Then there was the heart issue, the insulin, and also the organ failure, which scared me, and it did make me think. But the one that really got me was that I was told that I was imminently going to have a stroke because of the condition of my body. And if I had that stroke, I would only have 5 years to live. And I thought, I was so upset because that felt like,
have that stroke, then you have another 5 years to live, and that's it.
Yeah, in whatever condition that stroke would have left my body. Yeah. So that was totally unknown, and I thought, okay, I'm very quiet a lot of the time, and I was tucked away in the bedroom because I didn't want to be around people. Just life in general was too much. So being away in the bedroom, and my daughter was at school, and my mum came to feed me, and my husband was working at the time, and I thought, I know that if you have a stroke, you have to be seen instantly so that there's not anything that recurs with it. And I thought, I'm already living life in a very minimal life. You know, I mean, I was just existing, to be honest. That's where I was. It was just an existence. I was breathing and I was eating sometimes, and I could give my daughter a smile. Oh. When it really could be built up, you know, because I mean, there's no way I couldn't smile at her because she was young at the time. So it was tough. It was really tough, and I did feel that the world had ended. And I did feel total rejection from everything, everyone, and the world. I felt that I had so much more to offer, but I didn't know how that was ever going to happen. I knew I had a lot more life to live, but there and then I had no idea how that was ever going to happen. So I was devastated that I was told that was the end of my life, because there and then that was the end of my life, because if I was to have that stroke and I wasn't found, I don't know what kind of condition I would have been in. And I don't think it would have been a very good one, to be honest. So I was upset severely, cried and screamed when no one was about, because I wasn't very good at showing my emotions. So in my bedroom, when everyone else was out, I would scream and shout, and oh, the tears. And I wasn't a big person who cried. So the tears just ran down my face. And yeah, life was over. Life was done for about 5 days. And then I thought, my poor girl, she's 13. I've got 2 girls. My other girl's older, and she lives out from home. And my young girl, who's 13 at the time, I thought, all memories she has of me from her age of 7 to now have been me being ill. We've had some lovely times, we've had some lovely conversations, but she hasn't known me to be doing anything in life. She doesn't remember. Children don't remember before the age of 7 normally, so she has no recollection of the fun side of me, the good of me, you know, in general. And I thought, I can't leave her with those memories of her mum being ill. And then, God forbid she ever found me either not waking up, because that's what I wanted to just go to sleep and not wake up, or she came in and I had had a stroke and she came into that, and I thought, I cannot do that to her at the age of 13. It's just not something that I could comprehend, and I really didn't want it for her. And that was my turnaround. My girl was my saviour. She is the one that changed everything for me.
That's beautiful. It gives me goosebumps. That's beautiful. That is so beautiful, because yeah, I mean, I've been there, you know, when you know, thinking to yourself, like, you know, what is she going to be like in another year, and I'm not going to be there? What is she going to be like in another year? You know, when you start thinking, it's such a painful thought process that, you know, you see them living their lives without you, and you feel, I can't do this. This can't be true. You know, I've got to do something else. I've got to do something more. I've got to find some inner strength.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So she was my inner strength. She gave that to me, because, I mean, I did not tell her, and nobody told her that my life was ending. We couldn't, you know, it's not something I would ever put on my daughter, you know, either of them. And she only actually found out when I started speaking to people about my story. She only found out then, and she went, why didn't you tell? She was so angry at me for not telling her. And I says, why would I tell you that my life was ending? Why would any mother tell their daughter that their life was ending? You know, it wasn't as if I was living much life. I wasn't going to tell her that this is it. I'm going now. I'll see you later. You know, so, and so, but she's got over that now, thank goodness. So but she's still in a bit of disbelief. She likes to know everything that's going on. Yeah. Because I've always been very open with her, but not with the fact that my life was going to end.
Oh, and I know she knew a lot, and she, you know, obviously she had a bigger understanding, but you didn't want her, you know, not even think that would happen.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that she had no knowledge of it. I'm really, really glad, because that would have upset her greatly. You know, it was bad enough that, I mean, she didn't really think of me being fit ever, you know, I mean, this was just the life that she was used to. So that was it. You know, and I could only just be the best version of me for her at any given time, where if I could muster up that smile for her, that was perfect. That is all she needed. Yeah. And that's all she ever looked for from me. So that's what I gave her when I could. So, So yeah, the next stage was the recovery. And for the first year, I mean, the only thing, I mean, there was no help left from the doctors. There was no help left except for, we'll give you your medication and we can see you when we need to see you or when you need to see us. That was basically it. There was nothing else left to be done. So I was really stumped.
So you were left a little bit like, okay, I need to carve my own path here because, you know, obviously there is no more path, you know, around convention, right? They've done everything that they could for me and there is nothing else that they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. There was nothing, because it's a disorder and it's not something, and although it's functional neurological disorder, it really means that your body is in dysfunction. And the more you try to get better, the harder it is. It's like taking one step forward and 5 steps back.
Oh.
You know, so the harder you try to get better, because it's neurological, the brain doesn't see it that way, and it makes you stumble more and stumble more and stumble more. Therefore, trying to get yourself fit and healthy again, it kind of doesn't happen.
Wow.
So there wasn't much I could do, and there wasn't anything that I could think of to do, except a couple of days later. So that 5 days was devastation.
Hell.
Yeah. Yeah. I think hell would probably be a bit better. It'd be warm and it'd be, you know, and you could look at the sights and see what's going on in life. But I just had what was going on in here, which was not very pretty. So the only thing I could think of was I was immobile, and the thing that I stopped myself doing every day because it was too painful to move was actually going to the bathroom. Okay. So that was my answer. Every time I needed to go to the bathroom, I went. And I couldn't walk, but I was using a Zimmer frame, and I was basically moving each leg from the top of the hip. So if this was my hips, I would be moving the hip, and my leg would move about that much, you know, and it would maybe move about an inch at a time if I was lucky. So it took me a long time to get to the bathroom each time, even though it only takes possibly about 25 steps. And that could take me 10, 15 minutes to get there. So I made myself do that. And the other thing that I started doing was thinking more positively, because all my thoughts were negative. Even though I was an extremely positive person beforehand, everything got so negative with all the pain and all the thoughts and no one being able to help and just feeling absolutely alone in the world, that had to change. So positivity came back into my life, and I started watching on YouTube some positive videos. Now, an hour-long video, and I would watch a Mind Valley motivational things, you know, and energy healing and hypnotherapy. I would watch all these things that could try and help my mind become more positive. Now, an hour's video wasn't an hour for me, because I couldn't remember what it was talking about. I would watch some of it and then I would be lost, not having a clue what was happening, because I couldn't keep up mentally. So it would take me between a week and 2 weeks to watch an hour of video.
Wow.
But I persevered, because I only had one focus, and it was that I was going to be okay. Whether I lived my life in a wheelchair or not, it didn't matter, because living a life in a wheelchair was much better than living it in my bed and in my head, the way my head was. So that was my aim, was to have a good life in a wheelchair and to be able to dance because I hadn't danced my last dance. And you can actually dance in a wheelchair. I did it.
Awesome.
I did do it. So that took about a year for me to get onto my feet.
And you could say something like mentally and physically, because you're forcing yourself to just, you know, obviously doing that, the bathroom walk, you know, it's that small little change.
Oh, yeah. And it was forced. You know, it was because I would sit there and I would argue with myself. I'm too sore. I can't go. I need to take my painkillers. I'm due them in an hour and a half. You know, I mean, every 4 hours I was taking painkillers, and I would think, so I had to reassess that, and I would go, right, once I've taken the painkillers and they've kicked in, I will then go to the bathroom.
Mm.
You know, so that I was then at the best that my body was in with the amount of painkillers that it was getting took. So we got to the bathroom more, and within a year I started furniture surfing, which is something that a lot of people don't know about. But my furniture was strategically placed where I could almost walk the whole length to the bathroom with furniture. So you're holding on to the furniture the whole way. So my legs were beginning to move. I was really moving about, and it was great. You know, and I felt so accomplished, and I felt so much better within myself. My painkillers had cut in half, and there was new lease of life.
Wow.
And the weight was coming down as well, because I was now a bit more mobile. So then life went on, and that would have taken me to January 2019. I had already started with the positivity, with watching the videos. I had started doing some mindfulness as well. And really being aware of what was happening. And I could sit, I was very, very lucky that I could actually sit and just be within myself, as if meditating. But I didn't know that that's what I was doing then. I just knew I was being mindful. And it came to the May last year, and I was taught how to meditate. And I thought, I really love this, which really I had been in training for meditation through the mindfulness and the just being able to, because of the brain fog, which is such a funny thing to be thankful for, but that allowed me to have the knowledge that I could actually blank my brain. So which that's the part of meditation that a lot of people don't get, you know, but I was so blessed that I had that brain fog that I knew that I could have nothing going on.
Yeah.
So with that meditation and all the positivity and everything that I was doing a lot of clearing out past hurts, because having that diagnosis in the January that death sentence in January 2018 was basically, right, okay, how do I actually want to live my life? So that whole year was beginning to love myself, beginning to forgive everyone, having that self-compassion, and actually accepting who I was for the first time in my life. And that gave me so much strength, because I was getting rid of all my baggage that I'd been carrying about with me, which basically was the reason for my illness. And I totally do believe that our emotional baggage does bring on any illness in which we do have, including cancer, like you know yourself. It is from the hurts in which we give ourselves, the hurts in which we don't release, that we allow to receive from other people. That's where that all comes in. So releasing all of that baggage was the thing that got me to where I am.
Wow.
And going into that meditation then allowed me to awaken my inner healer. And I had a spiritual awakening within 6 weeks of actually starting to meditate completely. And it was a Kundalini awakening, and that is one of the most epic awakenings that you can have, where my whole body released all the pain because I had done all my inner work. So the pain in the body was the secondary stuff to go. And releasing that pain, I was like, oh my goodness, I actually stopped my medication overnight after that 6 weeks of meditation.
Wow.
Overnight, I had no more pain. I still had a lot of stiffness and pain from stiff limbs and stiff movement.
Yeah, because there was a lot of, like your.
I hadn't moved in 10 years.
Exactly. Can you just go back and explain to people what the Kundalini awakening is? Because I think many people won't know what it is.
Absolutely. I mean, it is just basically when you release, and you've got 7 chakras in your body, 7 main chakras in your body. I think we have like 114 all in, but we have 7 main chakras in our body, starting from your coccyx all the way up to your crown. And we have a lot of pain, and all the hurt that we hold are all within these chakras, and they get stuck. They're like spinning wheels. That's what a chakra is a spinning wheel. And they get stuck. So therefore our body becomes disaligned, our mind then becomes disaligned. So when you align your inner thoughts, your chakras then begin to align. And what you end up doing is releasing what they call the Kundalini. And it's basically as if you can imagine 2 coiled snakes sitting at the base of your spine. And when they awaken, they entangle all the way up to your crown. And that awakening within, and it's like heat rising all the way up your spine, up to your crown. And when you have that, life is so sweet. Life is good. And it brings so much into your life where there's no more worries in life. There's no more depression in life. Every day is a joy to live. And you're grateful for the tiniest little thing. I'm moving my fingers. If you move your fingers and you have got a bad back, you feel that in your back. If you've got pain in your back, you feel that. If you move your neck, you feel that in your back. So therefore, when my pain was released,
wow,
that was the awakening within, and I started to see things really clearly. The brain fog disappeared. Everything became crystal clear to me. And it is like a veil is unlifted, where you can just see what the world is actually all about and what the importance in life is. And it's not about paying the mortgage. It's not about working 7 days a week. It's not these things that we think it is. It's love and compassion and having joy for life. That is what life is all about. And that's what Kundalini brings you. It is such an amazing thing.
And so you achieved that. I want to make sure that people understand that it's possible, by obviously, little by little starting doing your meditation. You had done a training, and then you started sitting quietly within yourself and developing that skill, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You will not just get a Kundalini awakening by meditation alone. You do have to work your inner stuff. So getting rid of that baggage, getting rid of that inner critic, getting rid of your fears. If I was told today that I was going to die this evening, I would be quite happy. It wouldn't upset me. I have no fear of it whatsoever. But back then, I had a lot of fear because I had so much that I had to fix within myself.
Yeah.
And that's where the fear is of death, is that we have not lived to our authentic self. You know, it's not that we've not completed our painting or not completed our project or we've not earned whatever the amount is that you want to earn. It's about being congruent to yourself, to be loving and accepting who you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, accepting the light side of you, accepting the dark side of you, and just embracing every part of you and every emotion in which we live.
And you start, think it's, important for you, like, to highlight how much you worked on your traumas, like on your past hurts and all of that, to release that energy, right? Because they were all trapped in your body, and then all the energy was trapped on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of that was forgiving, and forgiving other people, no matter what they've done for you. And I've had all the different types of abuse that you can have. I've had the physical, the mental, and the sexual. And they were much easier to forgive than forgiving myself for not sticking up for myself, for not being the person I wanted to be. And that was the most difficult thing to do, was forgive myself for anything that I had ever done or didn't do or didn't say.
Yeah.
Because how often do we have that voice in our head? Oh, I should have said this. I wish I'd done that. We have that voice all the time. And now I've managed to quiet my voices. And it's just, they're very, very pleasant to me now, where they were really nasty and horrible before, because we are that to ourselves. And when we get on to the self-love, which that only comes from the forgiveness and the compassion for yourself, when you have that for yourself, you can then fully accept yourself for everything that you've ever done, everything that you will ever do, and everything that you're doing. And there should never be a regret in life, because we only learn from what we've done.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's so now, just to, we could talk for hours here.
Yeah.
Just, I just want you to talk about, how you, move on from that to doing the work that you do now.
Oh, goodness. Yes. Well, it took me a couple of months. I was out the wheelchair within 6 weeks. And then, because I had to learn how to navigate my feet again and how to navigate my legs and my body. And then after that 6 week period of coming out my wheelchair, I was walking a mile every other day. Wow. With crutches. And then after that, about 2 months later, I was back in the gym again, which I never thought I would ever do. And with doing all that work on my body and changing my body back to a fit and healthy state, because my plan was to just build strength and stamina. But the more I was in the gym, the more I was talking to people, and people were just like, oh my goodness, listen to your story. And I was like, yeah, I know, I get it. I've lived it, so it wasn't anything big to me. I didn't think it was anything amazing. I was just happy with where I was going. And then I had this clarity come to me. It was in meditation, and it was my soul's purpose was to actually help other people to transform their lives. And that's what I've done. So in February, I started my business to go into coaching, where I help people transform their lives, and I also help them to level up spiritually, to get to whatever that next level is that they want to get to find their inner self, to be forgiven to themselves, whatever it is that they want to do with that, that's what I do. But I also, with the healing that went on within my own body, I had been playing with that for quite a while over the last year, and discovered that I was actually able to heal other people as well.
Wow.
So it's been such a blessing. I am so happy and so grateful that it all happened, because I knew there was a larger purpose in my life. And I'm so blessed that I've found my purpose of today, because a lot of people search their whole lives for it and never find it.
Yeah.
And being able to go through what I've done has allowed me to be able to do that, and I am so blessed that I can help other people do the same now. And I am happy when I help people. It just lights me up. It's my passion when I see them moving from whatever stage they're at to where they're going. And I get to see the potential in them and show them their own potential, and which is misted to them. They can't see it. And I'm gifted with that knowledge to be able to do that and help them with that. And that is wonderful.
Isn't it amazing that after everything they went through, you know, like I said, it was definitely for that larger purpose, because, you know, the world so needs somebody like you. You know, I feel that, you know, when you go to doctors, and I'm not saying that they don't do a great job, because as you mentioned, you know, you had an amazing doctor. I had some amazing doctors, but sometimes when you talk to somebody who's gone through that pain, it's different, because, you know, unless you experience and you understand, you know, how it is, it's difficult for you to really help people, because you haven't gone through it.
Yeah. And absolutely. And that's where I'm so blessed, because I also had a life before illness where I did go through rejection. I did go through that self-hatred. I went through all that stuff, you know, so I have many, many things that I can help people, if it's just transformation in which I help people with, you know. So there was so many things I had to go through to get me here today, to be able to do that for others. And yeah, it is so true. How can you honestly help someone if you've not actually went through it yourself? You don't have that full empathy, and it doesn't matter if you're empathic or not. You just don't have that for that person. You don't understand fully. And that is, it's such a great quality to have that, to be able to say to people, I know exactly what you're going through. And that brings so much reassurance to that person.
Yeah.
Because they know that I can help them then, which is absolutely. And you know, help is not really what I like to do with people. It's more empowering them to change. You know, I like to empower people. That's what I do with people.
Yeah, I feel the same. It's a much better word to use, right? Because I think, like you said, you know, you found your healing within yourself. You know, it was already. It was just that you needed to tap into it.
Absolutely, we all have it.
Go. Sorry, I just want to say, how can people get in touch with you?
Oh goodness, I will give you my email address. I'll give you my website as well. The website is www.𝗙𝗢𝗘𝗏𝗄𝗏.com, and it's not as in divine, it's my name with vine in between.
But I'll put it all below,
so
people get in touch with you, and your email address, and obviously on Facebook. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give you all the links and you can put that up, Angelica. It's, you know, it's been such a pleasure and such an honor to be able to talk to you today, because I mean, your story is amazing as well. You're such an inspiration to so many people, and without you, I wouldn't be able to bring my story further today. So it's such an honor to speak with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. You know, your story is going to inspire many. I'm sure you're going to transform and empower many people. The world needs you and your story and your transformation and your empowerment. You know, it's unbelievable what you've done. you should be so proud of yourself. And I'm sure your daughter is very proud of yourself.
Yes, she is, you know, but I do get the odd grumble from her going, yeah, but you're not always there, you're always on Zoom. Because I'm not there for her 24/7 now, so.
Oh, lovely. Oh, so thank you so much. And yes, I'll put all your details and let's keep in touch.
Absolutely. No, we will. That's an absolute. Thank you so much, Angelica. It's been such an honor and blessing. Thank you.
Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.
Bye.